on YouTube and we are live on TikTok as well. Karibuni sana, karibuni sana. So today, leo ni siku ya kiyama. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu manze, I think the more we get into the election period, the more things get scary, and especially for immigrants. Unajua history immigration, it's a campaigning thing. It's a campaigning point for all the politicians. Any politicians who wants to be elected, especially in the West, as much as they need and they want, and they cannot survive without immigration, lazima watumie immigration as a campaigning front ndio wapate kura, kwa sababu wazungu wanataka kusikia nini? Hatutaki warazi, we don't want them, send them to their countries. Now that's what wazungu wanapenda kusikia, and because of that, when it's election times, emotions zinakuwa campaign. So yesterday we talked about Donald Trump and the green card, and I'm sure so many people are worried if his election means that the green card is over, and what that means for all the applicants, right? So leo tukasema wacha tuongele pia Canada, juu pia Canada ni warazi pia, wamekama up na policy zao pia, wameanza kusema right now during COVID there was an influx of immigrants. Kulikuwa wa immigrants wengi sana as these countries grappled and tried to recover from the deaths of COVID-19. Wali invite watu wengi sana. They invited a lot of people to move to their countries, and now Canada is saying that wanna feel the heat, wanna feel pressure imekuwa real. And this, I'm sure most of you can resonate with this because, for instance, in Kenya, where I come from, there was a time, I think that was when I was in primary school, around 2007, 2006, there was a time, and that time I was in Nakuru, there was a time Wasudi walikuwa wengi hivi. Like kila kona ungepiga kona unapatana na Wasudi wengi, shule kwa maesto, and then time ya Wasudi ikakamikaisha, wakakama wa Congo, wakakuwa kwa almost everywhere. Time ya wa Congo ikakamikaisha, and then we had, of course, now Nigerians wenye wamejazana huko, Nigerians wenye wamejazana huko Kasarani, Mwiki, hiyo area yote. Nasikia huko ndo area, hizo ndo areas za wa Nigeria siku hizi. So at some point even Kenya felt the heat of immigration. Na wa Somali wenye walikuwa wanavuka border huko chini ya maji, KDF wanawaingiza chini ya maji. So when the country invites so many people which can overwhelm the resources of that country, sometimes countries zenye ziko na leaders wenye wako na akili zitasema ni aje, acha tucheze chini kidogo. However, hii live leo si ya kukuvunja moyo. This live is not meant to discourage you from continuing to pursue your Canadian dream, your American dream, your Australian dream, or a dream ya kutoka kwa block. No, this live is meant to give you now tips. Despite the changing political atmosphere, what can you do to position yourself, be within those numbers that have been given? Kwa sababu Canada ilikuwa take around 500,000 immigrants, green card holders, and these green card holders ni both skilled workers and skilled workers na family reunifications. Family reunifications ni gani? Family reunifications ni kama hizi za marriages, kama mumeoa mtu ama wazazi, if parents invite their children who are under the age of 21, yes, under the age of 21, if they invite them over to the West, that's family reunification. If it's marriage based, that's family reunification. Hizo zinakuwaga mob. Those contribute to the highest number of green cards that are issued both in America and in Canada. And then of course now there's skilled and unskilled workers. Now, when Canada introduced this, remember wazungu wa hapa Canada, they are crying, they are saying the reason we don't have enough housing, the reason we don't have jobs, the reason we don't have opportunities is because there are so many immigrants in Canada. And I can tell you for sure, Canada, hata weri mseme USA, this is all hot hair. India wanasema gani hot hair. see here, ukamba imetoka. This is what they call hot air. Kwa sababu, unlike USA, which is not like densely populated, but at least we are talking about almost 200, 300 million people in terms of population. Canada only has 38, almost 40, no, okay, I might be wrong, almost 40 million people, the whole of Canada. Let me just double check that before I give you false information. In fact, there's a possibility that the whole of Canada, the whole of Kenya has more people than Canada. Yeah, Canada as of 2023 had 40 million people alone. Kenya, I know for sure, has around 50 million people or 60 by now. Nigeria has 200 million people. So Canada is a big piece. It's a big country with big pieces of land, but there are no people. So they need more people to fill out now all these places. The other concern is, the problem is the government did not foresee a situation where they would have 100 million people. So the resources are scarce. Ukiongelea stories za nyumba, stories za maji, stories za stima, wajaeza kuexpand economy yao hivyo. No, when the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, he decided to cut off, because as of when COVID hit, many people died in the West, and Africa is the only continent where there were not so many deaths. When COVID hit, USA, Canada, Australia, UK, all these countries were inviting people. So right now, anasema, we have to cut this number of immigrants so that to sustain our population and our resources. However, why are we talking about this today? And probably if you're watching this, you've already started the process of applying, the process of immigrating to the West, either USA or Canada. Yesterday, when we were talking about Trump's effect on the green card, I mentioned something about skills. Right now, it's the time, as you plan to immigrate, is the time to come up with a skill so that you can immigrate as a skilled worker. It doesn't matter if your family member is in the States, is in Canada, is in anywhere in the West. The process will be very, very long, and it will take forever if it's about family reunification. Wacha niwashtue. For example, in USA, I know someone who applied for their child by birth 3 years ago for reunification of a mother and child 3 years ago, and that baby has never gotten their green card up to this date. That's your own child that you cannot even be with for 3 years. The child is in Africa, the mother is in the States. So family reunifications are not a priority for these people, right? Let's talk, we hear every day about F1 visas. F1 visas for students and visiting visas and all these visas, they are not a priority for these people. Even in the States right now, the only reason that Trump won is because he told Americans that I am going to chase away I'm going to chase away all illegal immigrants, kwa sababu the illegal immigrants wanachukua opportunities zetu. So because he promised that, wakamu-elect. However, kuna watu hawaizi guza, because at the same time they rely on immigrants kuchapa kazi. If you're skilled, hawaizi kufukuza. So today we are going to talk about this announcement. 21% is a big chunk of people. And if you read that story, uta realize even Prime Minister for Canada, he was talking about unskilled immigrants. So kama wewe ulikuwa na apply, hata kama uko na familia, you want to reunite with your family, ama unataka kwenda kutembea ama kusoma. Kama ni kusoma, yesterday we talked about STEM courses, science, technology, and mathematics, because they want those kind of applicants and knowledge in their system. As of Canada as well, utapata hizo 21% that he's talking about, that yataenda kuzipunguza at a cut off from 500,000 to 395,000. That's a lot. That's a lot of people that atakata from the immigration process. Most of the time you will realize it's mostly unskilled or low-skilled labor. So what are some of the skills? Tumesha tukisema history ya skills sana. Acha nisome hizi comment. Kuna msemo ambonga mbonyo pale hivi TikTok. Remember guys, we are live on TikTok and we are live on YouTube as well. Karibu sana Mash. Na kucheki sana. Cheki, thank you for all the likes and the loves and the shares on there on TikTok. Kwa TikTok umechangamka. YouTube leo tu ametulia, mimi ndio nimekaa masaa mbaya. I think mimi ndio nimekaa masaa mbaya. But today we are not even going to spend a full 1 hour unlike the other days. We are just going to be brief on this. YouTube na wacheki sana, Hakizamana, waga Greencard wanaweza Canada. So on YouTube, Amende Hakizamana says Canada kuna kuwaga Greencard wanawezaje, tunazoe. Bro, type vizuri bana. You cannot even write. Simu ni yako ukimbizwi, type kitu inaeleweka. Canada kuna kuwaga Greencard. Bro, pole jo. Mike Kims, Burundians, yeah, Burundians are everywhere as well, yeah. It has already been Mackenzie, I see you. See you, the joys of life, I see you. So yeah, Canada kuna kuga green card, but the Canadian green card is not the lottery one. Si ya kucheza kama lottery. Hizi green card, mostly family-based green cards. If your child is under the age of 21 and they're not living in Canada, you can apply for them to get a green card. If you went to Canada to study, they have their own kind of OPT where you can transition from their kind of student visa to being a permanent resident. They also have their green cards for working. You can work for 1 year with a green card 1 year, valid for 1 year, and then renew on an annual basis until ufike mahali kwenye watakupea hiyo permanent residency, which is renewed in 10 years. So Canada, yes, wako na their own forms of green card, but it's not the lottery green card. See green card yenye watu wana apply every year wanajaza. That's only specific to the United States. So you will find that what they are talking about, they want mostly to cut on family reunifications and all unskilled kind of green cards. So today we are going to talk about how you can equip yourself, and this knowledge will apply to both Canada and USA, because these countries, they are just brothers and cousins. Wanajuana tu. Canada inafakopigi tu USA, na USA kuna vitu inakopi Canada. So thinking of that, what are the skills that you can equip yourself with so that by the time una apply, ufike pale? I will keep on preaching this because this is something that is, if you check on national security for both Canada and USA, they are very big on defense. They are very big on gaining an economic advantage over their peers. They are very big on competition. So because of that, you want to position yourself ukue mahali kwenye wanataka wase kama hao. And hata tuongee stories za mathematics. Mi siwezi ongelea stories za mathematics sana, mi si mse wa maths, but kuna vitu zenye skills zenye kama Canada inahitaji sana, and most people have talked about healthcare. If you are not in Canada, or maybe you are illegally staying in Canada or in USA, there are skills or courses you can take, even as an illegal immigrant or someone who's still in Africa or other continents, so that you can have these certifications or go to school and have skills in healthcare. Healthcare will always be need in the West for healthcare professional. So the moment umepata your license, either LPN or RN, you become a skilled worker. Now, hata wakichuja watu wengine wote, wewe uko na tu skill ya healthcare, watakuwa na kuhitaji, and you will see they will always be giving you or the kind of people with that certification high priority, because hata waseme wanachuja 21% of the population, wanachuja ule mtu mwenye ana ujanja, ule mtu mwenye atafanya kazi za mkono most of the time. But in their hospitals, when you go, you will find that most are immigrants or people who came from other places, because they definitely lack that kind of skill. Technology skills as well. In one of the announcements that Justin Tradeau made, alikuwa anasema that the reason wanna reduce is not like forever, it's just for 2 years. kumekuwa a lot of population growth between COVID-19 and now they are not able to keep up. The resources are not able to keep up with this population growth. However, alikuwa anasema exactly what Donald Trump said when he was campaigning. This move is set to target people who will be immigrating with no skills. For instance, in 2015, they were targeting only 200,000 people. And then when COVID hit, it went double to 485 people per year. So by the time he was making this announcement, there was at least 500,000 green cards given every year. Na alikuwa anasema out of that 500,000, around 60% was going to people who were coming through family-based visas or green cards. So history ya tech ndo nilikuwa nasoma hapo, wanasema Canada ina compete sana na UK, ina compete sana na China, ina compete sana na Iran, kama tu US. Nimekwambia wase ni cousins. Ukisikia tu news imetokea tu mahali, if you hear anything Trump says or anything the president of the United States says, they read from the same script with what Canadians are doing. So ukiona hii announcement that Justin Tradeau, the Prime Minister for Canada, made is in line with what Donald Trump was saying. And now remember, this guy is about to ask for re-election again. So this is just a move and a period of time. This is not meant to discourage you, yukwambie, hauta penya when you decide to pursue this opportunity. Now it's your time to equip yourself with what they are looking for. They just don't want to say it directly, but basically they are looking for skill. They want to sieve kabisa, wapate ule mtu mwenye ana apply ni skilled worker. By the way, in Canada inakuwa rahisi sana in terms of visas compare. Ni kwa nini? Can Donald Trump affect the DV lottery? Kijana Majuu, I talked about this yesterday, about Donald Trump and the green card. You can go on there, skiza hiyo live vizuri, tulichanganua the pros and cons. Skilled or semi-skilled persons. It's not usually based on skilled or semi-skilled persons. Kijana Majuu, for those who are watching from TikTok, anauliza, is Canada Express entry system always based on skilled or semi-skilled persons? I can't talk about express entry system. I can only talk about the immigration process as a whole. It mostly favors skilled people, because the objective of immigration for them is find people who can work in their factories, in their hospitals, in their companies, in all these places. So even if you're coming in a family reunification visa where you have family in Canada, na wamekuapplyia na wamekufanya kila kitu, and I'm sure you guys have heard the stories. Mmesikia stories, people talking about, oh, this family of mine or this person was applied by their family, alafu hiyo process ikaderail, imekaa, it has never gone through. I'm sure you guys have heard about all these things. It's because most of the time for them, wanaangalia hiyo profile, huyu mtu ameapplywa, wanaangalia, wanaona huyu mse labda hana skills na si priority kwao, yani wana ile kitu wanataka. That's why I was yesterday we were talking about even history ya Majuu. Prioritize your skills more than your family. Even in the interview, prioritize what you can do for them more than saying, hey, mi mtu wetu wako huko, mi naenda kwa mtu wetu, and then what? So, and they're worried about what they call the public charge. So what are some of the skills that you can start studying, especially online? History is tech is something that actually can get you a green card if you're still in Africa. And how can you do this? There are so many technology certifications that you can do while still in Africa and get jobs that will sponsor your visa process. There are jobs that are actually looking to sponsor people who are skilled in technology. So unapata, in that sense, you will have a higher advantage as opposed to you seeking them. They will be seeking you. That means you will have more advantage ya kuingia. Tony anasema kijana Majuu, Trump hawezi affect DV lottery but he still can. Yeah, DV lottery bado itakuwa, but the amount of people coming will be minimal. Yeah, DV lottery is very difficult for him to stop the DV lottery. But he can stop the amount of, there are other type of visas, especially hizi za kutembea na zenye za family based. I see you on TikTok manze. Hizi maswali zenyu ni vile zinakam kwa ubaya, siwezi jibu zote. And 254 Mkamba ni wewe. Nakucheki sana. Mimi weather tu ndio ngori ya Canada. Now Canada is definitely colder than USA. Huko watu wana freeze bana. Na ni desert kubwa sana, like it's not like densely populated. Only a few places that ziko na watu. So hizi skills za tech na hizi skills za healthcare na hizi skills za science, technology and mathematics, wasiwa mao kwa umeiva mao unaweza ivisha hapo hivyo. So despite the fact anasema that we will reduce these numbers, unskilled populations au ndio wanakatwa. So hata kama unajua kutengeneza dinga, kunda nyumba, get these certifications and then look for opportunities that are looking for skilled labor. Hii news is not supposed to make you give up on your dream or your application process. No, it's just about re-strategizing. And we are going to talk about in a separate interview. The same guy was saying he's targeting 1.5 million immigrants by 2025. That's the Canadian Prime Minister. So, at one point, anasema, we are going to reduce from 500,000 immigrants per year to 395, I guess, per year. And in a separate interview, he was talking about targeting 1.5 million immigrants in 2025. So what do you get from that announcement? If he is going to reduce and at the same time target 1.5, that means they are targeting people who have the skills that they need, because the problems that they are facing now, wazungu huku wana complain nini? Wana complain poor housing, wanasema immigrants wanakuja kuamalizia manyumba, poor services, transport services, lack of maendeleo, kwa sababu wa immigrants wamekuja ni wengi na wanatunyaganya zile vitu tulikuwa tumezoea. Basi tulikuwa nakalia kiti vile tunataka, sasa basi zimejaa, vitu kama hizo. Now, if he's targeting 1.5 million immigrants per year, that means they're targeting people who are coming to work for them. So in your interview, ukienda pale ukiulizwa mbona unataka kwenda, because they usually ask you, why do you want to go to the United States? Why do you want to go to Canada? Why do you want to go to all these Western countries? Wakikuuliza hivyo, your answer should be in line of what you can do for them. I'm going there to work. I have these skills 1, 2, 3. I have gone to school for this. I have this kind of experience. Nataka niende pale so that I can get an opportunity to showcase my skills and be of service to your country. Vitu kama hizo. So this 1.5 million immigrants that Canada is targeting at the same time is set to fill the gap in the economy left by aging baby boomers. So Canada ni kama Italy, ni kama hizi countries za Europe. There are so many old people compared to young people, and baby boomers wameondokea hiyo market, wameondokea hiyo market ya kuandikwa job. So there are so many vacancies at the same time za watu wameacha job kwa sababu wanazeeka. So they want to improve kujaza hizi vacancies. Ndio maana tulikuwa tunasema previously family based visas or green cards sio priority kwao sana, kwa sababu kama saa hii huyu mwenye ako hapa USA ati ameapplyia mtoto wake na mtoto wake ako sijui maybe between 5 and 10 years, I'm not sure, but maybe in their planning wanaona okay, huyu mtu atakuja hapa aingie public school zetu which zinagoga free, most of them are free. Atakuwa ameanza kutumia taxpayer money, ameingia shule free, ameanza kuingia, amekuwa part of the population, but contribute at the same time, seti ni mtu anafanya kazi. So the moment wanasema wana reduce, huyo tu ni siasa ya kufurahisha umati, kwa sababu at the same time only Canada in fact ndio iko na wasee wengi, immigrants wengi compared to all the G7 countries. So regardless of this fact, Canada peke yake ndio inachukuaga wasee wengi. USA only 14% ni immigrants, right? UK ni ka country kadogo sana, wakachukuagi immigrants wengi. Canada ndo inajulikana kuchukua immigrants wengi. So our 1.5 million for 2025 watakuwa ni wasi wamechambua. Joe, what would you like to tell us? Kindly tell us whether caregiving certs from Kenya are applicable in Canada. Yeah, if you have a caregiving certificate in Kenya and you work with an agent will be in a better position to give you the directions on how your caregiving certificate itakuwa applicable in Canada. And they need caregivers. Caregivers in USA and Canada ni zile, you will never lack a job as a caregiver if you are looking for a job in the West. But I'm not sure if they have a direct program, for example, with the State Department, where they can hire you or give you a visa directly. Most of the time you have to work with an agent who works with an employer hapa. Employer anaongea na State Department, nyinyi mnapata visa. Anything that has to do with healthcare, tafuta reputable. Canada kwanza kuna koga manship mingi sana. Be careful about Canada. Shida ya our agents ni wale wengi, si wale unaweza rely on, si wale unaweza trust, wengi wanaweza kutoka do. But ukipata agent mpoa with healthcare, your certificate will definitely be applicable. But at the same time ukingoja, I would highly recommend uendeleze masomo yako with what you're doing. Yesterday I was actually talking to a Kenyan mwenye ameka USA 4 years. He's a registered nurse. Alitoka directly from Murang'a. Directly, alikuwa nurse huko Murang'a, Hosia Gava huko Murang'a. Directly, yani saa hii hadi nilikuwa na muenjoy juzi, na mwambia hadi yo vumbi ijaisha ya Kenya, ijaisha kabisa. Bado hajafeel whether ya USA ijamuingia, yani ako fresh. But the good thing is he's already working in an American hospital, analipwa do yenye mimi personally hiyo do sijawaiona. Do analipwa as an RN, amekuja 4 months ago. Mimi kutoka hiyo pesa, kutoka niingia US jeshika do analipwa sai. And why? Is because he has more credentials in healthcare than I do. A registered nurse ukiingia hivi, do unalipo, unaanza kula maisha na kijiko kubwa huku juu kabisa. So if he's only been here for 4 months, directly agent akakuja nao agent wakamoplaia, ameingia hosi bigi na he's working right now directly from Murang'a. So as you wait, kama uko na caregiving cert, as you wait, advance tu masomo pole pole, bila pressure. By the time unapata chance ukiingia huku, you can easily maneuver around. I hope nimejibu hiyo fiti sana. Caregiving jobs, yes, they are applicable. Wacha tumeze mate hapa tukiangalia comments za TikTok. Wote kuko aje? Gili Johnny Walker, wote North Makueni, watu wanaliaje hiyo mtaa? Always inspirational, Jupiter, I see you very much. Yes, so despite the fact that umesomea, hata bora umesoma tu kona hiyo healthcare, wewe uko na advantage. Tony Montana alikuwa ameniambia unaenda army, what happened? Mimi niko nadhani by now utakuwa boot camp, right? So no one is talking about his skill. Nyie mpendi history ya skill, but then nitaiongea juu hata mimi I learned very late. Nilisoma their skills when it was too late. If I knew what I know now, about having a skill. Oh, sijui kujua story kwanza, wacha nimalizie hii live. Tuko mesana tu 30. Oh, damn, time imekimbia. Wacha nimalize hii live na kitu niliona. Sisomagi Bible lakini nikuta na quote ya Proverbs, lazima nicheze kama mimi. Proverbs skill. Proverbs 22:29. Do you see a man skillful in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before obscure men. Hata kana msiote akona skill. Proverbs 22:29 inasema msiote akona skill, hata ikana wase wadogo, atakaga na makings, atakaga na msee wase wabigi. Honestly, kitu nimejua about having a skill right now na versus kuwa employed to job ya kawaida yenye hahitaji skill. Manze, hizi job yenye tunafanyiaga watu kazi na hawatuitishi skill, zinakuwaga tunajua stigi sana. So if ningekuwa najua mambo ya skill nikiwa Kenya, nikiwa kampo, nikiwa tu, yani ile time mara mingi nilikuwa na wasting time, ningekuwa na learn something ya kujitetea nayo. Juu hivi lazy times zina change. Political times, ama leaders watakuja hapa hivi, they talk all the stuff that they want to do, and every announcement that talks about curbing or reducing the number of immigrants inakuwaga to help them get re-elected, because wazungu wanataka kusikia hivyo. So the moment they start talking about that, you as an applicant, you as someone who's looking to immigrate, it's your time to re-strategize and say, okay, what are they looking for? Wanataka nini basi? So kama wanataka cut immigration, wanataka kukat immigration wale wase warazi, wale wase wenye hawana contribution to their country. So unaenda hapo unamwambia niaje mimi nita contribute hivi na hivi na hivi na niko na hii skill na hii skill. So Miss Ngugi anauliza ni skills gani unza advise mtu kufanya kama uko na ndoto ya Majuu one day. Yeah, Jupiter hapo amejibu akasema nursing. Yeah, nursing is one of the skill. Majuu kila mahali wase wanakoga their healthcare, I think ni big huku because of lifestyle diseases, vile watu huku wanaishigi. So healthcare inakoga big deal huku hivi. Tumeongea stories za technology. Ukiangalia sasa kuna AI, artificial intelligence, ndio the new frontier ya 21st century. Ilikuwa industrial revolution ilikuwa lini? Ilikuwa 1940s ama 1920s or 1890s. I'm not sure when was, actually I check guess na niko na internet. When was industrial revolution? Industrial revolution. Kwa sababu kulikuwa industrial revolution, alafu kukakuja kumbe ni kitambo hivyo. 1760 ndio kulikuwa industrial revolution. Hiyo ndio time wasi walikuwa wana come up na skills za kuunda mavitu, magari zikaanza kuundwa, yani vitu zikaanza kukama up, right? After 1760 1800s wakaanza kuunda hadi maweb, wakasema ni aje tuunde hadi mameli, tuende huko Afrika to colonize hawa watu, right? And then ikakuja 1950s, there was something else, but right now artificial intelligence is the new kind of revolution ya kisasa. Now, in the next 100 or 200 years, they will be reading about AI, vile AI ina come up sahi. So, you can take advantage of artificial intelligence, kwa sababu sahi inaitwa race for AI. Hizi countries zote za huku West zina compete, nani atakuwa number one in this new kind of revolution. So, wewe ukiwapo mtaani is kukula strategy and think, okay, if these guys wanna compete about AI, how can I learn this AI thing nikiwa tu hapa Africa na nianze ku-apply hizi majob? In fact, I know someone who learned technology courses, juu ilikuwa course gani za IT, and instead of them, their initial plan ilikuwa learn hizi skill, alafu afanye nini? Akuje Majuu, apply jobs akuje Majuu. But what happened, the company that he was looking for, imsponsor hiyo visa, ikamwa kumhire remotely, afanyage kazi akiwa Africa, afanyage kazi akiwa mtaani, na bado analipwa in dollars. Imagine that kind of favor. Yeah, initially he only wanted to come, and you will realize by the if you can get paid in US dollars and live in Kenya, you will be way much happier than someone who's living in USA and being paid in US dollars. That's the dream, being paid in US dollars and living in Kenya. Now, that guy, he's earning what Americans are earning, and his expenses are low because he's living in Kenya. Nyumba sahi Kenya ukiishi nyumba ya 50,000. Unajua 50,000 ni dola ngapi? Is it $350? $350, people here make that in a day. Or maybe 2 days. Assume average person anamake hiyo pesa in 2 days. So rent yake analipa na siku mbili. So he's living well because he was able to learn those IT skills na kahayua remotely hata kama ana live in Kenya by an international conglomerate. So mtu ameuliza skills. Mimi zenye nimejua na nimeona, for someone who wants to come, be in a skill that requires science, you need nursing, healthcare, doctor, CNA, or the easy certificates caregiving, or technology, any skill that requires tech, IT, be in that front, or any skill that requires mathematics. Okay, for someone who's now already in the States, ama unaangalia your future work after you get to the States, your future work that you can, unaweza fanya so that you usikue at any risk. Now kuna skills, hata ni jana I was talking about mtu anaweka roof. Kuweka roof, construction is a skill. Not everyone can build a house. Not everyone can construct a roof. Not everyone can make kutengeneza gari. In fact, if I knew kutengeneza gari, huku Majuu kutengeneza gari is a multi-billion dollar business. Being a mechanic, ama just being able to know to fix cars. Juu gari ni mingi. Gari ni kama, huku gari ni kama uende Busia. Boda vile ni mingi ama baiskeli. So the more ziko, most people don't know about them, and most people don't want is a job chafu za kushika ma oil. They are making a killing out here. If you have a skill to kutengeneza hadi gari. Skill hata land mowing, kukata nyasi, any skill that requires using your hands, your mind. Bora tu si kazi yako kwa ofisi hivi kuambiwa finya hapa, hiyo si skill. Ni something that you can use your knowledge to do. Hizo always zitakuwekea food on the table. But if you want to come, you give them what they want. They're saying they're cutting immigration by 21%. Okay. Hao wenye wajakata wanataka watu wagani? Wanataka hiyo healthcare, wanataka hiyo technology, wanataka mathematics. You will never go wrong with those three. I promise you for sure, for shizo. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Wacha nikimbie leo live ilikuwa half an hour, but nimepitisha. But I just wanted to give you this update, and so that you can now prepare. You don't go there blindly saying mtu wetu ako huko, me I'm going to reunite with my person juu ako huko, and then what? They are afraid that you might become a public charge, which is once you get your permanent or your legal status, you'd start depending on the government. So how do you show them that you are an asset for them? By having what they need, which are the skills that we've been talking about. I hope you get these skills. Next time tukiongea uniambie naje Jo, mimi niko na certification ya 1, 2 and 3, and I'd like to try hii bahati ya Life Majuu. Yeah, joys of life. This is what I just mentioned. I'm sorry I didn't read this earlier on. Touch on construction sector, plumbing, paintwork, air conditioning. Easy, they are always high in demand, especially here in the States, because personally, I have never touched a water pipe. I don't know. I've never touched a paint. Air conditioning is big because all their houses are installed with air conditioning. These are things you can actually get certification on, and they will be recognized huku Majuu. In fact, I will do a separate, remind me joys of life. If I forget, you can email me on johnduttitv@gmail.com. I will do a separate video touching on visas that are specifically looking for this kind of skills. There are visas that specifically look for applicants who can make ACs, who can do plumbing, construction. Hizo wana target hao. Ndio maana wa Mexicans, most Mexicans here in the States, they are in the construction sector. And once they get to the construction sector, wanapewa ile work visa ya 1 year. Work visa ni kama tu green card ya 1 year. That means you have a temporary social security number, temporary everything for 1 year, which you can renew. Now, the moment you get your 1 year work visa, getting your permanent residency or the 10-year green card, haikuwagi ngumu. And that's how most Mexicans wingia kwa system, because uenda kwa mjengo yoyote huku utapata ni wameki, because people who live here, most people do not know how to make houses, how to make air conditioning. So wadau na wadau wetu, msiwaitans, I got you. Please remind me, Joys of Life. I'll do a separate video on how, on the visas that have to do with skills for sure, because right now it's time now to anze kujipanga. All these big countries, they are talking about reducing immigration, limiting your chances za kukuja majuu. Now, what can we do now to play the game? Kwa sababu hii kitu yote ni system tu. You have to know how to manipulate his system yao. Wakisema oh, tunapunguza wewe wakisema tunapunguza by 21%, wewe unajua 79% wanataka wenye wamebaki, that 79% wenye wamebaki wanataka wagani? How me will be among those. So in the next videos, every time unaona tu John Duty is live, best believe we'll be looking at opportunities. We'll not focus on the challenges. That's constant. We'll be looking on opportunities now, how we can better equip ourselves with this new developing agendas and new developing political news. How now we can better equip ourselves to manipulate the system and be at the forefront of hii game ya kuondokea scene. Kama K kama kawa. This is John Duty on Life Majuu. Adios.